Representative Miller,
Actually here.
Senator Alley, Representative Croft,
Here.
Senator Wilborn, Representative Carpenter. Representative Carpenter, we know he's online. Senator Masterson, Speaker Hawkins.
Here. Thank you, Tom. Second item of business is the authority to conduct new member orientation meetings to discuss this. Oh, skipped over the minutes. Yeah, first order of business is the adoption of minutes. Are there any questions?
Move adoption of the minutes.
It's been moved, seconded by
Second.
Senator Alley. He seconded it. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed,
Aye.
no. The minutes are adopted. Second item of business is the authority to conduct new member orientation meetings to discuss the item the chamber recognizes, or the chair recognizes Corey Carnahan to discuss this item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. New legislator orientation has been scheduled for the afternoon of December 2nd and most of the day on December 3rd. Under statute, the LCC is required to officially authorize new member orientation. And so that's what the chief clerk and I are asking for today so that we can proceed with the planning process, that official authorization.
Are there any questions? Motion?
Move to authorize.
Moved by Senate President, seconded by Senator Wilburn. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, no. Item passes.
We can't hear anything.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have a letter in front of you from the chair, Senator Warren, asking of one of the 3 days that they are authorized to use it as a travel day. They want to go and look at some juvenile offender programs in Johnson County for part of the day and then finish up their meeting at a location and do recommendations.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion? Moved by President Masterson, seconded by Senator Sykes. There you go. All those, I'm just working down the aisle there. I'm just start at one end and work this way. We'll get over here to Vic here in a little bit. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item passes. Fourth item of business is the authorization for the 2025 session employee pay schedule. To discuss this item, Chair recognizes Tom Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is our annual request for session employee pay schedule and the authorization and approval. You have a packet in front of you for the 2025 positions, pay policy, and the pay scale for temporary legislative employees. The pay matrix indicates salaries reflecting increases similar to those that were received by the state employees on July 1 of 2024. It is also recommended that the retention payments of $250 for office assistants continue for the 2025 session. And on the second page, you will see the salary scale. At salary range 18, that is the office assistant salary hourly rate. And out to the right-hand side, I have also provided a column for the hourly rate for 2024, so you can see the comparisons of those rates. This rate moves from $16 an hour to $17 an hour for the office assistants. All other pay ranges have been changed with that percentage increase in all of the other pay ranges. So you can see that range 28 goes from 2640 to 2805 an hour. And Mr. Chairman, it's requested that the LCC approve these positions and pay policy and the pay scale. We understand that many of the committees may change, whether it be through consolidation, deletion, or new committees. And I ask that you give the Director of Legislative Services the opportunity to make those adjustments as needed, as those committees may change or consolidate or whatever. And also assign the committee assistants to the appropriate pay range as we go, as everything gets set for the 2025 biennium.
Are there questions for Tom? Representative Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if this is for Mr. Day or how far back this might go. On the page that says 2025 session committee designations, looking down the list in range 25 and range 26, there's disparate treatment between the Fed and State Affairs Committee of the Senate and the Fed and State Affairs Committee of the House, and likewise between the two judiciary committees. And I wondered if somebody could explain why we treat those disparately, and because we've always done it is not an appropriate answer.
Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Miller, those have been that way for a number of years. And the main reason that it was set that way is due to the size of the Federal and State Affairs of the House Committee versus the size of the Federal and State Affairs Committee of the Senate Committee. But depending on the workload, those ranges have changed over the years. They may not be reflected on this sheet, but they may change depending on the workload of the Senate Federal and State Affairs Committee in relationship to the House Federal and State Affairs Committee.
Well, that would explain that one, but the opposite is true of the judiciary committees, and yet we're doing the same thing.
Senator Wilburn?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know,
So the workload in the Senate judiciary, I can tell you, is much heavier than the House judiciary.
Well, in regard to that, Mr. Chairman, the Senate Fed and State Affairs Committee takes on elections items. So again, that argument is counter to the other. I would move that those committees all be treated in the category of Committee 6, Range 26, both the House and Senate Fed and State and Judiciary Committees.
So Senate, Fed, and State, and House Judiciary, you're saying move to 26, range 26?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion, sir.
And what all do we need to put in that motion, Tom? Because you need several things in this.
Just to make the motion to approve the changes as recommended by Representative Miller would be good enough, and I've already got them marked on here to move those down into that range 26.
And is there a second?
Just a question.
Senate President Masterson.
Thank you, Speaker. Just for my own clarity, the motion is to make these changes and authorize the entire thing, so we're a single motion. Yeah, second.
Seconded by Senate President Masterson. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion as made signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. I guess we'll back up just a little bit. Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tom, my question is with those salary or the temporary legislative employees, what is the return amount that we have who will be coming back? And have we already put out information trying to get those assistants in?
We will be putting out information this week.
Okay.
We don't know what the return is going to be this year, but based on what we knew after the 2024 session as to who will not be returning, it still looks like it could be a 65 to 70% return rate. It could even be higher because we may be picking up some that we have not had for 2 or 3 years that have expressed interest in coming back again, similar to what we had in 2024. And I believe our return rate in 24 was 70, 71%, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So we're looking for another good year of return. In fact, I talked to the session coordinator, staff coordinator just Friday, and she's already heard from numerous people that either did not come back last year but want to come back for 2025. So it should be another good year. We're looking again at not going to temporary staffing agencies, hopefully, to hire any to fill in those gaps.
Okay, that's great news. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the fifth item of business is,
Mr. Chair, if I could, do we need a motion to approve the entirety?
we did that in one motion.
It was all in one motion? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Fifth item of business is consideration and approval of pricing for legislative highlights and summary of the legislative documents. Chair recognizes Tom Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is another annual request for the publication pricing for legislative highlights and the summary of legislation. The Legislative Coordinating Council sets the prices for the legislative highlights. We are making a recommendation that the price of those legislative highlights for production and publication remain at 75 cents per copy. And the Kansas Legislative Research Department also keeps an electronic version on their website under publications. In regards to the summary of legislation, the books are no longer sent for printing or sold due to the high cost of production. However, the Legislative Research Department does do some copying of those publications upon request by the legislators. And again, this is another publication that KLRD does maintain on their website. I would recommend that the legislative highlights pricing continue at the rate of 75 cents a copy. That includes tax, and both the publications and the highlights and summary will continue to be available on the Legislative Research Department website.
Any questions for Tom? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Moved by Senate President Masterson, seconded by, seconded by Representative Miller. All those in favor, or discussion? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The item passes. The sixth item of business is the discussion and possible action regarding the request for proposal for the bill tracking services. To discuss this, Chair recognizes Tom Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a little general background. The Subcommittee on Administration recommendations were presented to the LCC on the August 21st meeting. During those presented updated the request for proposal with the recommendations I had passed out at that meeting as well with some of those changes. Members were to review the revised RFP and with suggestions to go to the House Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I would turn it over to you.
So does everybody have a copy of the changes? Tom, I think Tom's got it. Okay, to start out with, I will tell you that the changes in here are minor. There, if you look on the second page, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, and 19 are all new. Those are not in anything we'd seen before. And there's little tweaks to wording. It doesn't change the concept of each of the numbers, but it may have a different word in there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And yeah, that you articulated that well. These were the kind of more of the Senate suggested changes, and the only change to the document that's handed out, Representative Carpenter requested on page 1, number 2, where it says in real time, that it say in near real time, because that encompasses, moments of delay or latency in a system, and we were comfortable with that. So that would be the only change to this document. And I would also, so this really just adds clarifying narrative and describes our current capabilities. So I would make a motion that we accept the RFP with these changes, including the word near.
It's been moved to accept the changes with the inclusion of the word near. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Alley. If you want time to read through those, we can hold off and give you time to read through those. Senator Sykes?
For clarity on the Sykes question, anywhere in this document it says real time, it will say near real time.
Okay. Any other questions, Senator Sykes? Nope. Rick? Nope. Vic, you okay? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? The ayes have it. Motion passes. The last item of business is the seventh item. The seventh item of business is update on the legislator's laptop lease refresh. And last time I asked Tom Day to get us what it would cost us just to buy instead of lease. And Tom, I believe, has the information to present on that. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, at the August 21st meeting, the speaker did ask that we get information on the pricing for purchasing legislator laptops as opposed to leasing. We reached out to Dell, and Dell sent us back a proposal for purchasing the same number of legislator laptops as well as a 4-year extended warranty, which is what the 48-month lease would also have in it. The price of purchasing the legislator laptops would be $311,328, and that's compared to the leasing price of $346,376. A little bit about the pros. The pros of purchasing, it would cost us about $38,000 less. What do we do with the computers after 4 years? We could offer to sell them back to the legislators after the hard drives have been wiped, with the exception of the operating system. And that would need to happen if we sold them back to legislators. And so, that it would be a decision that this Legislative Coordinating Council wants to make. And then we believe that the state surplus property would take any leftover laptops that were not purchased outright, and we would have to set a price for the purchase of those laptops at the end of the 4 years, but that would be in 2028.
So that could save us some money. I think 38,000 is significant when you're talking about 300. So that's not close to 10%. So that's not bad. Discussion, Representative Miller?
The old adage, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Are there disadvantages in terms of owning something? Will we get the same kind of service if we own it versus if we're leasing it? Is that a fair question? It just seems odd that it's cheaper to buy them. So I guess my question is, what am I missing?
Tom?
Basically, the $38,000 difference is the lease cost. That's the financing of those computers. And other than that, our working with Dell would be very, very similar. We are purchasing some extra laptops. In the event that a laptop goes bad on us, we can immediately change it for that legislator and have it ready to go once we image it with what that legislator needs on that laptop in addition to the operating system. Basically, it's the financing charges.
Senator Masterson?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So on that note, do we need any kind of action from this body to authorize the purchase versus the lease?
Yes, we would to change we have already authorized leasing. You have already authorized leasing. We would just need a motion to change that leasing to a purchase, and we would take care of it.
Representative Carpenter?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Just real quick. So when it comes to these new laptops, there's going to be no issues or anything like that with our IT servicing them relatively compared to what we do today. So when we outright purchase these, are we going to have less support from Dell? And I'm sure our IT can do it, but I just want to make sure that they have the ability to service all of these laptops as necessary as we move forward.
We'll have our IT folks answer that question for you.
Mr. Speaker, I can honestly tell you that our service will not change. It will be identical to what we see right now. So if there is a motherboard or something that were to fail, we can contact Dell and have that same service here within the next couple of days. We also have the ability to work on the systems we've been given authorization. So it shouldn't change in any regard. The only thing that we're seeing, as Tom said, is we drop the finance charge, and then we have to deal with them at the end rather than ship them back. But regardless, we're still doing the same work, whether we send it back or send it to surplus.
Senator President?
I would move that we authorize the purchase.
Hold on, I think, Blake, did you have, Representative Carpenter, did you have more?
Second to the motion of the president.
Senate President has moved to approve the purchase. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Carpenter. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion passes. And with that, we are finished. Upon completion of all business before the LCC, the meeting is adjourned.